Hello guys, my name is Akhil Ahuja and I'm going to talk about NEOS2 architecture in this video. A NEOS2 instruction set architecture was implemented using Verilog STL under the guidance of Dr. Chang Chu. Now the CPU architecture can be categorized mainly in Harvard or von Neumann architecture or CISC versus RISC architecture. When a CPU is said to have a Harvard architecture, it means it has a separate buses for talking to data and program memory. Whereas in case of von Neumann architecture, the processor will be having a single bus to access program and data memory. CISC versus RISC. It is another major category used for differentiating between the different computer architectures. The CISC stands for Complex Instruction Set Code, and most of the instructions in the CISC processor are multi-cycle instructions because the memory, reading the memory and updating the memory after the execution of the instruction are embedded in the execution of the instruction. Hence, most of the instructions are multi-cycle instruction. In case of reduced instruction set code, most of the instructions are single cycle instructions because accessing in memory and updating the memory after the execution of instruction is separate from the instruction execution. Now, it does sound as reduced instruction set code, but it's talking about the reduced complexity level at the hardware, or reduced complexity in the hardware, not the reduced number of instructions. Now let us talk about a NEOS2. The NEOS2 is developed by Altera and it's a soft processor based on RISC architecture. What do you mean by soft processor? It can be readily implemented on an FPGA device developed by an Altera or any other vendor, and mostly it is implemented on the Cyclone 2 series of the FPGA developed by Altera. Now it is based on RISC architecture as explained earlier, so it will be having most of the instructions of NEOS2 will be single cycle, and memory access is separate from instruction execution. Now it is based on Harvard architecture, so it will be having separate separate bus for accessing instruction memory and data memory. So it can read from instruction memory and simultaneously can write to data memory. It has 32 general purpose registers. Each register is a 32-bit register. It is a 32-bit processor. It means ALU can process 32-bit operands at a time, two 32-bit operands at a time. Dedicated instructions for multiply and divide operations, and the result of the 32-bit multiplication will be 64-bit, and the lower 32 bits are stored in the respective register. Now let us talk about the NEOS2 instruction types and formats. I-type instruction format, R-type instruction format, J-type instruction. Just following the basic MIPS instruction types. Now each and every field here has its own dedicated operation. So the 32 bits are categorized. The 5 bits for indicating the source register, 5 bits for indicating the target register, which is updated after the instruction is executed, and 16 bits immediate value, which acts as a second operand in case of ALU operations, and 16-bit offset value or address, the 16-bit address in case of branch instructions. The OP here represents the opcode for I-type instructions. Similarly, for R-type instructions, R-type instruction gonna have two source registers. So A here represent one source register, B here represent another source register, and the ALU operation performed on the values of these registers, the final result is stored in register C. Now for the R-type instructions, the OP here will be constant, which will be 3A in hexadecimal. So we are going to differentiate between different R-type instructions using OPX field. Now let us talk about the J-type instruction. The J-type instruction has a 26-bit field reserved for an immediate value, and the remaining 6 bits are used for opcode. Now let us talk about the traditional MIPS data path. You can see this adder block, PC, and memory address, and instruction memory, is forming my instruction fetch stage. Now every time the PC is incremented, the new new value is given to the memory block, and in turn it returns a 32-bit value which is given to the design. You can see if my memory is byte addressable, the PC increments every time by 4. Hence we are feeding this adder block with a constant value of 4. This adder block is calculating the next PC, and another input to this adder block is the current value of PC, which is 32-bit. Now the instruction fetched is now given to the decode stage. The control unit, control block here, register file and sign extend, and a mux together form an instruction decode stage. This can be thought of as a brain of our CPU. The control unit generates the signal required to achieve the desired functionality of the instruction. The register bank most of the time provides data on which the operation has to be performed. The sign extender is a basic unit which is extending a 16-bit immediate value to a 32-bit value. And the mux is differentiating between I-type and R-type instructions. Because the write register in case of R-type instructions is denoted by bits 15 to 11 of the instruction, and in case of I-type, the bits 20 to 16 represent the register to be written. Now the values, proper data based on the addresses provided here, the data here will be fed to the ALU unit. The ALU performs all the arithmetic and logical operations. The mux here is selecting whether the second operand for ALU will be a data from a register or a 16-bit immediate value. The control unit issues a ALU control signal which controls the operation of the ALU, whether it's going to perform addition, subtraction, multiplication, division, logical OR. It's going to be decided by the control block which it controls using ALU control signal, and it's also running an ALU source signal to control the data second operand for the ALU. Now this block here calculates the branch address or the jump address whenever branch or jump instruction is executed. This AND gate here is indicating whether the branch has to be taken or not, which is driven, one of its input is driven by the control unit. It goes high when the control unit knows that it's a branch instruction, and in most of the branch instructions, operation of comparison is performed usually. For example, the contents of two registers are compared, and if the contents of register are greater than the other register, then the branch is taken. It's a type of instruction known as branch if greater than. The ALU result, if it's a load or store word operation instruction, the ALU result will be an address in the data memory location, and the data memory is gonna give the contents of that particular location to the mux, which will be written back to the register. Now the mux here is our write back stage, and this memory block is our memory stage. The mux gonna decide which data has to be returned back to the register based on the control signal mem2reg issued by the control logic. Now we can see that when my decode stage was working, my instruction fetch stage was idle, execution stage was idle, and the memory stage and write back, all these stages were idle. When the instruction came to execution unit, my instruction decode stage, instruction fetch stage, memory stage, write back stage were idle. So even though we have invested for our hardware, we are not able to use it efficiently. Hence, to exploit the working of the data path, we move on to another technique called pipelining. Now before moving on that, how can you comment that this architecture is a RISC architecture? By looking at this, you see the ALU, both the operands for ALU are the registers. So if you want to add two operands which are stored in the data memory, you have to use load word and store word instructions, or to be specific, load word instructions to get the data into the register bank, and then that data will be operated on in the ALU. The ALU cannot access memory directly, hence it is a RISC architecture. as I told you, we are trying to efficiently use our hardware, so we are adopting the pipelined MIPS data path. It's same as traditional MIPS data path, just output of each stage is given to flip-flops, or it is stored. So these blocks here, pipeline registers, are nothing but the flip-flops which are driven by the clock. It's a synchronous pipeline. Remember, the combinational logic here between two registers has to perform its operation within a one clock. So my clock frequency will be decided by the combinational hardware taking more time to do its task. Now, the previous MIPS pipeline MIPS data path was implemented in Verilog STL and was simulated using Synopsys VCS tool. So you can see the PC is incrementing by 4. From 24 it's going on to 38. The instruction is fetched. It is given to the instruction decode stage, which is categorizing or differentiating or separating the opcode, 6-bit opcode 0 to 5, and separating the 5 bits to detect which registers has to be read, and data is given to the ALU. Now here, this simulation depicts the working for the load word. It is depicting the working of pipeline MIPS data path. Now the opcode for load word is 17 for NEOS 2, and it is detected. Along with it, the instruction registered data will be given, register information will be given. In this case, our instruction is load word R4, R4, and added with an offset value of 0. So now the ALU will be calculating the ALU result will be used to address data memory, a location in data memory, which is hexadecimal D, and in decimal it's gonna be, its decimal equivalent is 13. 13 contains a value 6. You can see the write back stage is selecting the mem2 reg. In the write back stage, the mem2 reg signal is high, indicating that the value written back will be from data memory. And now this is given to the write back stage, the 6, and you can see the temp reg 4, which is a register 4 in register bank file, is updated to the value of 6. Same. Now we are gonna focus on multiply operation. How a pipeline reacts to a multiply instruction. Similarly, the PC is incrementing by 4, 44 to 48. Separate opcode for multiply, which is 3A. Now as I told you, the R-type instructions, different R-type instructions are we can differentiate between R-type instructions using OPX field, which is 4V0. So now this is the micro operation. This is the ALU control signal generated by instruction decode stage to indicate the macro operation to be performed for multiplication, which is multiplying the operands given by the registers 6 and 7, and the result is stored in 8. As you can see, the RD, red select RD, is showing a value of 8. So the value of 6 and 7 will be multiplied and stored in it. It's explained here. Now 6 and 7 suppose contains a random value 5 and 2. So these are multiplied, giving 10, which hexa equivalent is A. Is given, it's obtained at the ALU output of ALU result, and then it's given to the write back stage. The mem2 reg is 0 here, you can see, and the 0A is given to the temp reg 8. Now after the design was implemented, we coded a benchmark program to test the performance of our CPU, and the program was calculating dot product. These were the values fed into the CPU, and each element from both the vectors was first multiplied and the individual products were added. So when we implement, now let us go on to pseudo instruction. Now move IA is a pseudo instruction which is implemented using OR high and ORI. So when this instruction is substituted by these two instructions, we encounter lots of hazards. So we use a smart technique known as restructuring our code. Our program, after calculating dot product, the last instruction encountered in our program was store word instruction. Now let us see how our MIPS data path, pipeline MIPS NEOS 2 data path reacts to the store word.